Hi everyone. I just want to take a moment to detail how to do a report for resource management. This is going to be a series of videos. This particular video will be concentrating on the resource manager report. That is a report specifically designed for the resource manager to find where his resources are over allocated and to whom. So just before we start, there's a couple of things we need to do inside project to enable this report. The first thing we need to do is go into the PWA settings and check our reporting under enterprise data. So this particular report does need daily based time phase data because we will be looking at instances of perhaps over allocation of a day. So we need to target that and see it at the daily level. So make sure you set that to daily. Just remembering that this amount of data will be greater than if you aggregated weekly or otherwise. So I'll just say and get out of that. Okay, the other thing we need to do is just go over to additional server settings. And here we check the resource capability settings. By default, it should be 1 month behind and 12 months ahead. You can set that to 24 months ahead. Again, just think of the amount of data you're bringing. And again, when you set it to 24 months ahead, it won't refresh till about 1 a.m. when it does the job processing to get the information out to the OData. Okay, so having set that, and I'll just keep mine at 12 months, that's fine for now. Having done that, we should now go have a look. And the other thing you need to do is make sure you have some resources allocated in your resource center. I've also used the team name field so I can group people into red team, green team, blue team. Again, just focusing on the resource management aspect. So you might only be interested in your people in green team in terms of over allocation, and that's fine. Now, lastly, we need a project, and inside the project, we will put some instances of over allocation. So again, this is a dummy site that I've just created for this video and this report. I've got 2 tasks that are resourced, and you'll notice there that there is over allocation. Fred can't do both jobs at 100% over those days. Okay, so that's already been published. I'll just close that, and that's pretty much all we need in the Project Online PWA site. And then we will go to the next stage, which is looking at the Power BI report. Okay, so this is the report on Fred Jones, who is over-allocated. We have a matrix here showing the month, the week, and the day. So we can drill right in and see the actual days that the resources are over allocated. We have another matrix up here acting as a filter, so that as we select different months, the report below is changed to indicate the month, etc. And you'll see here that we just go straight back to the original report. So it's a fairly simple report, but I find it very powerful for resource managers that want to see what their team have been allocated in various projects. Of course, the data could include some external data for other allocations. If there's a leave management system, whatever, we can plug that in as additional demand on that particular resource. Okay, so what we have here is really 2 tabs. We have a resource over allocations tab, and then we have a hidden tab, which is actually a tooltip page. The tooltip page is looking at the work data. Okay, so when we have a look at the main matrix here, we are looking at the highlight data. So by mousing over and getting the tooltip for our day, for our resource, we can see the work data is brought to the surface for that particular day. Yeah. So let's just have a look how we get the data. Again, pretty straightforward. We're only getting 3 particular tables out of our Project Online OData set. Now, if you want to know how to connect the source for your OData, just Google OData source for Project Online and you'll get the URL to use for an OData source. Okay, so I'm not going to show you my source set, but regardless, I will show you the tables. So our first table is actually just the resource table. So as you can see, we don't have too many. It's quite a significant table just in terms of content. However, we're going to remove columns we don't need because all we really need is the resource ID, which is the unique ID for each resource. We want to see whether it's generic or not. Because we're using teams, we have team placeholder resources, so they are generic only, representing everyone else in the green team. And then we have also the team names that people belong to as per our resource in the PWA. Our next table we're going to read is the assignment time phase dataset. You might be expecting to see the resource demand dataset. However, we want to go deeper and we don't want to do a lot of joins. So we're going to use the assignment time phase dataset, which I just renamed to work to make it clear and easy to work with. We're going to remove all the columns we don't need, and we just get our time by day, the amount of work that's been assigned, the project, the resource, whether the task is active or not, and that's helpful if you want to do, which we'll do in a later report, where we have contingency tasks that are inactive and we want to see what it looks like if contingencies are activated or not. And then we have our task name. Again, just for reference for the resource manager, who's the target of this particular report, so he can say, okay, I've got the amount of work, I've got the project that it's assigned to, and I know what the task is that's being undertaken. Okay, so the only thing we're going to do here is add a custom field. Now, a custom field is called dateres, and it's a concatenation of both the project time, but we're only getting the date of the project time by day, and we're getting the resource ID. So what this gives us is a unique identifier that shows us when the task is for that resource on that day. Yeah. So that'll come in handy later. I'll show you when we join some tables together. So next thing we're going to look at is the capacity. Again, I call it CAP, but it's resource time phase dataset. So we take the resource time phase dataset and we remove the columns we don't want. So we really want the resource ID, time by day, and the capacity in that day. Of course, capacity is determined by the resource schedule and possibly utilization percentage. So given that, we now have capacity by resource by day. Now, we get into our main table, and our main table is actually sourced from our capacity. Which is merged with our work. So cap plus work. Now we're going to extract the work, but we're going to do it as a aggregated sum. So the reason we do it as an aggregated sum, I'll show you. Let me just load in. Now we want to make sure that we have our resource, a singular date per day, and then the aggregated amount. So when we do that filter, this resource, so that you can't tell that is Fred, with his unique ID, the capacity per day, so only one capacity per each of those 4 days, and then the amount of work that is assigned on those days as well. So you see here, 8 on the 10th of the 2nd, he's got 8 hours of capacity, but he's working 16 total hours of work. So I'll just get rid of that photo. Now, we are just going to rename some of these, the work, sum of assignment to work, again, just to make it easier. We're going to change the type. So our work is now a decimal as well. Again, we use decimal because it won't be a straight 8, 9, 10 or whatever hours. It might be 7.2. We're going to replace all the null values in work. So there's a 0. And that's so that we're not working with nulls, we're just working with a 0 amount. Now we're going to put in our conditional column for the background color. So BGC stands for background color. And it's a very simple thing. If work is greater than capacity, then go yellow. Otherwise, stay light green. Use whatever colors you want. Doesn't matter. Whatever suits your format. Okay, now we're going to, just in terms of formatting our matrix, we're going to extract some information from time by date. So we'll get the year, we'll grab the month, we'll get the month name, we'll get the week of the month, and lastly we get the day of the month. We're going to add a conditional column only so that we can transform the month to a more a better use of month with a 0 in front of. So we just have 2 digits that'll let it order better. In order for that to work, we need to change it to a text field as well. So now we have all the months lined up. When we format, we won't end up with it going, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pain in the butt, but until they fix it, that's all we have to do. We're going to prefix the week with WK, so it makes more sense. Now we're going to do a little bit of tricky stuff. We're going to merge the date, the previous month 01 with the date name. So we now have 01 January, and then we're going to just use the first 6 digits, so we get a nice neat 01 Jan, 02 Feb, etc. Now we're going to merge capacity, so we can get the resource names and team name without having to do too much else. And then lastly, we're going to add another custom field. Again, this is so that we get a unique identifier for the resource on the day. Yeah, so each one of these is a singular resource for a singular day with their capacity and the aggregate of the work that they're doing on that day. And the reason for that is so that we can indicate whether there is a overallocation or not through a lighting system, background light system. Yeah, I'll show you that how that works in the relationship. Finally, we are going to filter the row simply so we only get information that is from the start of the current month. So start a month. Okay, so that's all we need to really look at in terms of the transformations. We'll just close and apply. And we'll have a quick look at our model. And the model's pretty straightforward. We don't use either of these tables. I'm keeping them in there for future tabs for this report. What we are using is the highlight table, and it links to the work table on a many to one basis. So many days of work with the project name and task name that links to the day of the resource. So resource plus day. Yeah, so what we got, date res matches with date res. So date resource. Okay, so once we've got that relationship set up, that gives us the ability to link this tooltip, which uses the work information, with this matrix, which uses the highlight information, so that as we go through the tooltip, we end up with an indication of those overallocations. Again, highlighted because the actual amount of work is 16, yet there's only 8 capacity. If we move to the next date, you can see there's work, but it's not over capacity, so that's fine. It's just still green, everything's good. Okay, if you go to epmo.online, I will have a link there for you to download this particular report for free. Stay tuned to the channel, subscribe and hit notification. That'll give you an indication when I continue this report. Next step will be an actual high-level view of overallocation and bottlenecks by teams, mostly used for not so much the resource manager, but a higher level procurement view, so people can understand what roles are being, what roles need filling for future work, and again, more of a planning sort of report that shows when people need to prioritize their work and PMs need to shift their work left or right in order to make sure that they can manage their resources in an enterprise way. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more.